I'm going to talk about my program evaluation proposal. The agency that I chose to evaluate was Michigan Department of Corrections, and they have a program they call their Vocational Village. It's a career and technical skills program designed to teach trade skills to prisoners, and the program was funded by the Second Chance Act Adult Reentry and Employment Strategic Planning Program. Vocational Village was established in 2016, and prisoners have a variety of programs they can choose from, including tree trimming, carpentry, plumbing, CNC, robotics, welding, automotive technology, electrical, computer coding, CDL or forklift training, and masonry or concrete work. All prisoners must complete a career assessment to determine whether they have the aptitude and the interest within the program they choose. The intention of Vocational Village is to simulate a regular workday with prisoners. So that what this looks like, each day the prisoners get up, they go to work where they're learning on the job the skills they need in order to gain a credential at the end of the program. There is a college instructor on site who provides the training necessary to meet the program criteria. And at the end of each workday, the prisoners go home to a shared housing unit where they're then able to connect together as a team, as well as share any mishaps or best practices that happened throughout the day as part of their training program. The literature review that I completed for this program was difficult at best. There was very little information available regarding programs of this nature. It seemed that little to no program information existed. I found one program in India. I found an individual in California who did research. However, he also chose Vocational Village as his source for his paper. It seems very little research has been done. The Community Restitution Apprenticeship Focused Training, which is acronymed CRAFT, was something as close as I could get to Vocational Village in terms of comparison. This was an enhanced employment and education program geared toward high-risk youth participants who had been in trouble with the law, who had been offenders as youth. This program enhanced employment and education through activities in construction. The hope was to boost employability of the participants in the program and decrease negative behaviors through training in those construction trades, and to determine whether vocational training for high-risk youth offenders enhanced education and employer outcomes. Upon review of the literature, it was determined that there was a demonstrated improvement. However, it wasn't certain if the program itself impacted those outcomes or if other factors were playing a part. Specifically for Vocational Village, my objectives and hypothesis, I wanted to answer the question, what components of a program are necessary to develop a successful model to engage offenders in a skill-based vocational training program, and therefore reducing recidivism. Vocational training for offenders is one of the best ways to decrease the rate of recidivism In the United States, we have the highest rate of incarceration in the world. Our incarceration rate is 3 to 4 times that of the next country, indicating our tendency is to put people in the prison system. So vocational training programs are geared to provide prisoners with an alternative to committing crimes. Vocational village programs will provide a growing talent pool also to benefit employers. One of the things we've learned recently is that there is a hiring need as well as a skills gap for employers in the United States. This is a trend across all states. We hear employers stating emphatically they do not have the skilled candidates available to fill their job-related needs. Vocational Village hopes to respond to this need by expanding the hiring pool. So if we can get employers to commit to hiring ex-offenders and we can train those individuals, that will improve the outcomes. The methodology I would choose to implement includes qualitative analysis, and that would be done through interviews with stakeholders during program enrollment. Stakeholders can be anybody from the students participating in class, administrative staff, instructors for the program, and then the customers or the students themselves. This information will be gained through participant feedback via surveys, instructor and program administrator reporting of student progress, how they're doing in training programs, how they're doing in the evenings when they're at home in their shared housing. Are they staying clear of any misconduct or any negative behaviors? And then pre-release and post-release employment rates. The program demonstrated that there were many individuals who actually had placement opportunities set up for them prior to their release date. So we would take a look at post and pre-release date employment rates to see if the program had a positive impact there. Data collection and the SPSS. So we know that the SPSS is typically used for quantitative analysis. Doing so for qualitative data is a recent concept. Qualitative data tends to come from experiences, words, text, which is new to SPSS. It is expensive software, and it's big. It's a big program. So even looking at having the computer space available to download the system, as well as it being time-consuming and laborious process to enter all of the data into the SPSS system. The place where I work has a much better data collection system. You can run hundreds of different reports based on the data you enter. I would likely find a comparable data collection system. SPSS seemed a little clunky at best. The qualitative data that we would collect would come through means of discussions, again, with those stakeholders via interviews either during incarceration and after their release date to see how they're doing. We would set a 30-day regular contact with prisoners once they're released. Surveys would be submitted at time of program completion and release date to see how the prisoners felt about the program, whether or not it benefited them, whether or not they feel like it prepared them for returning to society in a more meaningful way. We would look at qualitative data through observation, and then firsthand accounts of personal experience again. The strengths and limitations of my evaluation. First of all, strengths, the data collection came directly from program administrators and participants. And anytime you're able to actually talk with the people involved in the program, you get a much better response in terms of the program's direct impact. How do they feel it benefited? Was it value added? And then monthly interviews would be appropriate after they release as a means to gather information about their continued progress, their retention with employment. Are they seeing increases in wages or opportunities for promotion as a result of the training they received? This monthly interview method would be appropriate both for time and budget restraints in regards to the evaluation process. Limitations, the timing. Obviously, we're dealing with a pandemic. The timing due to a sudden, dramatic, and unexpected situation with the COVID-19 crisis has really changed our economy. We have a lot of people out of work right now. There's a need for employees. There's also a lot of need new to people working from home, having to homeschool children, having to homeschool themselves. So just the new changes in our society that we're experiencing can really impact the outcomes of programs like Vocational Village. Additionally, there's been little to no research, as I stated, on establishing a vocational program within a correctional facility, how to do so, what does it look like, what are those best practices, what works, what doesn't work. Because there's been little to no research, we can't answer those questions effectively. Implications of this evaluation, the need for ongoing study and taking a look at those best practices will help us to create a sound model for correctional facilities to follow. If we're able to continue doing studies like this one on these specific types of programs, it will create a model that other correctional facilities may be able to follow, therefore expanding programs, and it'll give us a better idea if we can replicate these interventions in other places. We'll have a better understanding of whether or not the interventions, the program itself, is what's impacting the outcomes. And that is my presentation. Thank you.